Wonderful. Okay, so just to reiterate, all the signals are going to run either into this Doepfer A138S mini stereo mixer or the Roland 531 line mixer, which has 6 inputs and has, look at these nice big line outputs right here, a volume control, a Eurorack level output, which is very useful, but also this phone's output, which is really, really useful. So what's happening is this stereo headphone output is going into the poly digit for another level of effects. And if I turn up this phone's output, I get the effects that are playing in the poly digit, which in this case is another reverb and a stereo set of delays. So that's just like a sort of like effects thing I can do if I need more effects on my overall signal. And sometimes I do, because while the Mimiophone actually does have a sort of smearing reverb thing here, it doesn't, it's not, it's not like full reverb. And I can't put everything in the system through the Mimiophone, nor would I want to. So that's kind of what's going on there. Could I bump the volume up a tiny bit? I don't know. Let's see. I don't want it to get too loud. Okay, well, I only have so much volume, friends. This is now completely tapped up. Let me see if there's anything in OBS I can do. But I think that's no, dude. I don't. You all need to check your. Y'all need to check your your video player settings, because everything is up. Everything is loud. I'm almost pegging the things, the meters. So sorry. There will be a recording of this that I'll put up that has everything mixed and stuff like that. So if it's really, really not loud enough for you, then you'll be able to check that out, and it will be loud. All right, so we went over sort of the basics of what you're hearing right now. Down here, I have sort of the sequencing and modulation section, though Quadrax also does modulation. So let's go ahead and dial this back a little bit into sort of more rhythmic territory and talk about the sequencing and stuff like that. So I'm going to go over to Brad, and I'm going to turn down his attack and his decay, so we'll get a more, percussive sort of sound out of Brad. And as for this friend, I'm going to load a new preset. And now we'll have something a bit more percussive that we can listen to. So let's talk about sequencing. Pam's here is the master clock, meaning that it's sending out clock to Tempi, which is sort of, well, it's kind of complicated. So Tempi is a really complex clock module from Make Noise, and it's actually kind of wasted in the way that I'm using it right now, in that it's got 6 clocks, and each one can be in real time re-timed, either by human programming, like I just did where I tap, or by machine programming, where you hold down A or B and then set a multiple for how much you want to go. So let's listen to Brad real quick. I'm calling this Brad's just because people get shitty about plots versus plates. So let's turn down let's see, where's our spherical wavetable navigator? I think it's on... Okay, so now we're just listening to Brad. Okay, so what's going on here is the tempo is being set out of Pam's via a gate on channel 8 here. You can see that it's just blinking, and that's according to the tempo of Pam's. So Pam's is really easy. Pamela's new workout right here is really easy to set a tempo on, and really easy to dial in gates and stuff like that, which is really, really nice. So what's happening is the tempo is being sent out of Pam's, and it's going into the tempo input of Tempi. And there is a way to have to to basically like, you know, create a tempo on Tempi, but I didn't read the manual when I set this up. I only read the manual in as much as I needed to get understand how clocks were divided and stuff like that here. So I decided, at least in this iteration, that Tempi is the a slave to Pam's master clock. I guess we're not using that terminology anymore. Tempi is following Pam's master clock. So you can see that we have the gates blinking here, and you can see that you know, channel 1, 4, and 5 here are blinking at the same time, meaning that they're just on a quarter note pulse. I can change that really easily. Outputs 2 and 3 here. Go ahead and turn the there we go, so you can hear that a bit better. Outputs 2 and 3 on Tempi are being sent to Make Noises Rene, which is a sequencer. It's a kind of a Cartesian sequencer, meaning that you'll see this little orange thing moving around. So there's an X and Y axis, and every time it hits one of these steps, it sends out quantized CV, non-quantized CV, and 2 gate signals, one for when it hits an X value, one for when it moves to the X plane, and one for when it moves to the Y plane. So you have to send it 2 clocks. You have to send it one for the X, and you have to send it one for the Y. And that's really fun because, let's go ahead and get back to normal thing. Right now, 2 and 3 are the clocks, X and Y respectively. And I have them pretty slow because I was trying to go for a really ambient thing. But I'm going to hold down B and multiply my X clock. Now, you can see that the X clock is moving faster, and every once in a while, that Y clock will push it through the Y axis, which is really, really cool. Now, one of the things that makes Rene really interesting, besides the fact that, I mean, it's pretty unorthodox from a sequencing perspective just to begin with here, but one of the things that's really, really cool is that it has this X mod, X clock, or XCV mod, Y mod, and YCV mod. So right now, I could turn these little knobs here and watch what happens. You'll see that it's going to modulate the sequence through the X-axis or Y-axis. All right, so that's kind of cool, right? But the fact of the matter is we can automate that. We can modulate that. So I'm going to go out of Pam's here. I was doing this last night, and I really, really like the way it sounds. So let's go and take 7. Is that going to be long enough? No, I want a longer cable. I'm going to reset my 7 here. Pamela's new workout is an 8-channel modulation creator. It can create gates, it could create all kinds of interesting modulation, and then you choose how often that modulation occurs with a lot of other settings. It's one of the only modules I have 2 of. I have one in here and I have one in my main case, and the reason is it's just because it's insanely flexible. So let's go ahead and reset 7 here. I'm going to click into it and reset it so it looks like the same clock. Oh, hey, why aren't you doing that? 7. Am I on 7? I am, but the modifier is still divided by 9. That's fine. We'll have this signal happen every division of 6 of the beat. And I want to change the shape of this to a envelope shape. So we have all kinds of shapes. It's probably not super visible, but right here it says wave, and I can change the shape. So there's an envelope shape that's going to have a attack decay to it. So, you know, like, bloop, and then it slides down. So I'm going to plug this into the X mod. And when something's plugged into it, as opposed to before, now this controls the amount of modulation that the incoming signal will do to it. So let's take a look at what happens here. Every single time this hits, it's going to jump around a bit. Let's go ahead and turn this up. Do I have it in the wrong thing? Let's go ahead and turn this up real quick. I had this working really cool last night, so just bear with me. this? Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Sorry, it was the wrong input. So now when this envelope hits, you can see that we're like jumping around. So I'm basically sending the Cartesian sequence here a new modulator that's going to have it ratchet through some of these steps, and you can get really interesting patterns that way. So we're going to do the same thing with the Y clock, and we're going to get some interesting little blips here and there. I'm glad that you could hear now take out. Let's see. Let's grab a longer cable. It's funny, depending on what system I'm using or what I'm doing, it's like I either don't have enough short cables or I don't have enough long cables. And weirdly, with this smaller system, I never have enough long cables because everything's got to stretch around. So let's go to our 6 on PAMs. Let's give it a different modifier length. So I like to do these off, so not strict divisions of 4. So this one's going to be 6, 7 with 6, and 6 is going to be 5. And we're going to switch the wave here again to an envelope. But like you can send this all kinds of things. You know, you can send it sine waves. You can send it literally any sort of modulation signal, and have fun with the clock. All right, so let's go ahead and turn this up. All right, now we're getting some ratchets. Let's turn this down and turn the mix. So now you can hear that every once in a while it's doing that little boo-doo-doo-doo thing and moving through the clock in a different way. And I want it to be big enough so that it goes ratchety. So I can really create like a weird pattern with it. Because a lot of what's going on here with this system, the whole idea behind it is that I want things to be rhythmic in some cases, but I also really want them to sort of have a life of their own. So, yeah. Yeah, Andrew, I actually find that most of the time once I've decided on something that I want for Euro Rack, it's never in stock. I don't know why. Okay, so we'll leave that here because I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and bring in the Spherical Wavetable Navigator and talk about it, because I think it's one of the most interesting pieces of kit that exists out there right now. Sounds like we need to tune. The other thing about Rene, by the way, is that it's kind of esoteric when you first look at it, but when you click this button here, you can move through some different options. And one of them is this Q page, which actually allows you to set the scale. So this is C, D flat, D, E, E flat, you know, up just through the 12-tone scale. And I can look at it right now and see that I'm probably in like a minor or a Dorian. I have, yeah, I think I'm in like a Dorian scale right now. So we'll leave that. It's not bad. Let's go ahead and tune this. Cool. Yeah, so take out, did you just jot down patch notes, or have you always make from scratch? Oh, I just make from scratch. I mean, if I have an idea, like I'll you know, how to hold it in my head or get to the system as soon as I can. But generally, I'm just doing things from scratch because I think that's where the joy of this is to a great extent. Let's give ourselves a little tiny bit of thing there. Yeah. So this output, and this is the Mark 1 of Rene. I don't have the Mark 2. I bought this used a little bit ago. So the Mark 2 has, I think, a little bit more stuff going on, and maybe I'll upgrade it to it at some point, but I'm still spending a lot of time figuring this out. So this output is quantized pitch. This output is just CV. So it's control voltage based on where the pitch knobs are. So I can turn these knobs and move through the notes that I've chosen from this Q page, right? So I define the scale here, and then it's I choose the notes that are played back from that scale here. which is pretty fucking cool, to be honest. So CP out here is a control voltage based on those knobs. So if I was to take this, let me get a long cable. I'm not going to use this to modulate. The same instrument because I think it's much more interesting modulating a different thing in the rack. But if I was to put this into, let's put it into timbre, since timbre is very. All right, so you can hear when a note goes high, we're also getting a control voltage that's high, which is going to, you know, make Braids change its timbre. But I think it's much more interesting to distribute the signals that you're getting from something like this to various places. So right now I'm using the X gate out to trigger the trigger of Braids. So every single time that this moves across the X axis, it's going to send a gate signal out of here, which means I could use this to trigger the synth that's getting the pitch, but I could also use it to trigger all kinds of other things. I could split this signal and send this to Quadrax or something that's going to receive a trigger to make modulation. I could use this trigger to trigger drums, all kinds of shit. But there's also a separate Y trigger, so when it moves to the Y axis, you'll get a gate out as well, which is pretty fucking cool. And there's actually a way on this, there's two gate pages. This is the X gate page, and if I was to go in and get rid of some of these gates, then it won't send a gate out when it hits one of these blank spots. And same with Y. So let's just go ahead and randomly remove some gates so that we can get a more diverse and interesting signal out of our gates. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Spherical Wavetable Navigator. Let's go ahead and turn our modulation down here. Maybe we'll pick a different wave over here. I feel like we've heard this one a lot. And let's go ahead and turn down our clock mod. And turn down that high pitch. Where's that high pitch? I think it's this one. Actually, let's just get rid of the mods for right now. All right. So we will go into, whoops. Let's go into this. I'm going to divide this again. And that's on 3, because we're talking about this motherfucker now. So, great, wonderful. Let's give ourselves a little bit of this, because why not? You know, we can get spacey if we want. So this is Braids. So now we're hearing a little bit of Mimiophone in here because, goddamn, I just love it so much. Take out wait on Braids, or talk to me about Braids in Discord. I actually have a video coming out. I could put it out tomorrow if you want, about plates versus Braids. And the fact of the matter is, plates is sort of the sort of Braids, but like condensed module that Mutable Instruments came out with not too long ago. I think in 2018. This came out in 2013. So there's a lot of cool shit in this, like the fact that I can add an attack in here, and I don't think plates can do that, so that's really nice. But plates has, or plots has a built-in VCA as well, but when you turn it all the way to the left when you're messing with that option, it becomes basically a low-pass gate. It's a filter plus a VCA. So it has a built-in filter to it, which is kind of cool. That said, Braids has a lot of really amazing sounds. Like, I'm actually gonna pick my favorite sound on here. One of my favorites, actually. It's called ZLPF. It sounds... Oh god, it's so good. give that a little modulation, shall we? I've also been having a weird thing with Braids where if you used the quantized input mode, so you can actually quantize it to different scales internally. Right now it's set to off. I can have this quantized to semitones, and it will theoretically be in pitch. But I've found sometimes that it just randomly drops pitch. It gets really weird pitch stuff going on, and I'm not 100% sure why. I'm not sure if it's part of this particular like quantized thing or what the deal is, but it's very frustrating. So let's go ahead and take an output of Quadrax here. Quadrax is can be an envelope generator or an LFO. It's a multi-mode, what do you call it? Modulation generator. So when you hit this button over here, you can choose between envelope, two different types of envelopes, an LFO, a burst generator, and I think a random thing. I'm not 100% sure what the last one is. And then over here, you can choose what mode that these will trigger, and they actually have you can set a relationship so that each one will trigger when the one that's above it either hits like a rising edge or a falling edge or something like that. So I use this to generate envelopes. I also use this to create LFOs. Right now you can see Quadrax channel 4 is being used as an LFO. So if I turn the modulation up here, just a tiny bit. Then we'll get some modulation on that thing from Braids, which I think is cool. Let's go into our octave, and oh, I'm 2 octaves up. Jesus Christ. Okay, whatever. Yeah, so I think maybe I'll put that Braids video out, Braids versus Platts video out tomorrow, and probably get crucified for it because there are some things that I missed when I was talking about it. Yeah, I think about the Braids as it can be had for pretty cheap. I think I spent $200 on this one used, but it was like almost in perfect condition when I got it. And both Braids and Plates have tiny versions as well, little U Plates and U Braids versions. I recommend checking out the Afterlighter audio versions because they're a Seattle company and they're rad. Jason asks, do you have a routine method you like for keeping everything in tune? So this system makes it easier because of Braids. Also Ornament and Crime here, which is a it's a muted, it's a crazy CV and gate processor that does a ton of stuff, and I haven't quite dug into it enough to really speak about it right now. But it has a tuner built in, so I can send this a signal and it will let me know what's going on. So that's nice. But because Braids can quantize to a semitone, and because this is basically always quantized, it's pretty easy to find a pitch within the context of this. So, let's talk about the 4MS Spherical Navigator, Wavetable Navigator, if that's okay with you. So that rhythmic pulsing you're hearing right now is from the Wavetable Navigator. And I really wish that this was over here. Stay. You piece of shit. This is why longer cables can be good, because you can just sort of like yeet them out of the way. There we go. Cool. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, hopefully it's coming through in the lights, but you can see that each one of these little things is pulsing, and we're passing through them. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different voices, and you can turn them up, and turn them down, and shape them. It's traveling through 6 different voices, and right now it's in a mode. Hush. Right now it's in mode where the incoming clock, this clock being sent from our friend Tempi here, is creating a clock signal that will clock all the LFOs that are triggering these voices, but also the meta LFO, which controls the speed of traveling through these 6 voices. So watch what happens when I turn this LFO speed up or down. Right? Does that make sense? Like, basically, I can divide the incoming clock or multiply the incoming clock with this knob to travel through each one of these notes or voices at a different rate, which is really cool. And it's also really cool because it does triplets. So like one of the clock divisions is it will create a divided by 3 thing. So even if I have a 4/4 pattern going here or through the Tuesday here, I can still get like sort of interesting offsets. But that's not all. It sounds physically modeled right now, yeah, but it can get, well, here, I'll turn this. Basically, their take on wavetables, which are basically a series of a wave that you can travel through, is that there are 3 layers to it, and you can sample into it directly from an external source. So I was using the Hydrasynth to create sweeps that would go into here, and I believe what you're hearing right now is one of the wavetables I created from the Hydrasynth directly into it through the waveform in, which is just fucking wacky. So as I turn this knob down here, you're going to hear some changes to the tone. So we're traveling through the wavetable. You get very glassy digital tones. Or go back to that mellow tone. Okay, so that's great, right? Alrighty. So, each one of these voices can be tuned to a different note. It can also be moved into you can automate, like, basically its wavetable position and all kinds of stuff. And then each one of these little blue LEDs down here that's triggering represents the individual LFO speed and shape that's triggering one of these notes. So let me try to show you, starting with the most basic thing, which is transpose. So I can transpose the whole sequence. But if I hold down one of these, let's see, turn this one up. Actually, I want to transpose this one. Okay. So if I hold this down, I can hold down transpose, and you'll see down here that it's going to show me where every single one of these notes are on the spherical navigator, and also where I'm moving this one. I can go in and transpose each one of these notes. So you can make choices about your sequence yourself, or if you hold down, so basically when you boot up this thing, it just starts with a drone in the tonic note. But if you hold down this button here for the transpose with nothing else selected, it's going to start spreading these in different, intervals. I'm going to go back to mine. So, the same logic, the same sort of like interface logic applies to their position in the wavetable. So, right now they're all triggering pretty much the same wavetable. I can change the latitude, depth, and longitude with these things down here to have each one of those voices sort of disperse amongst the wavetable. Which is fucking cool. And what I didn't realize is that, so if you hold down this button here, so this obviously, moves through the wavetable. But there's a bunch of wavetables built into here. There's a whole bunch of wavetables that come with it, and you can obviously record your own as well. What I didn't realize is by holding down longitude and turning this, it actually spreads the notes amongst multiple wavetables. You think it's magical now? Just wait a second. We're not done yet. This thing is fucking insane. Like I am. It's a full synth voice, right? Like all we have going on right here is clock and output. Like everything else is being handled in here. You know, obviously we have some Mimiophone. Sorry, I fucking love Mimiophone to death. Okay. So, what have we determined? Well, we can transpose each note by holding it down. We can spread the notes. We can change the LFO speed here. We can disperse the wavetable through each thing. I don't know, it's... Why is it so big in the stereo image? So maybe there's a setting for this, but basically each voice gets spread across the stereo image. So right now it's plugged into a 1 and 2 here. Yeah, so I could change the panning on this and center it a little bit. Yeah, zones control is magic. But Jiro, it's a stereo module, like which is cool. I have too many stereo modules. This is stereo now too, and well, it can be. And yeah, eats up channels real quick. Okay, so let's dial this back a little bit. Cool, that sounds cool. Okay, so that same logic that we talked about earlier with holding down a channel and adjusting its parameters, you know, individually. Well, we can do that with this stuff down here too. So if I turn this LFO shape knob right here, what I'm going to do is start changing the color of these LFOs, and they're going to be different shapes. So right now we're seeing almost like a triangle shape down. Every time one of these is triggered, there's a sort of attack decay that looks, you know, like an envelope like this, basically, like that, with no, you know, it kind of looks like that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's basically just a ramp down. So there are different iterations of the blue, and each one is a longer ramp. So this is the longest blue, shorter, tiniest downward ramp. Should I plug ochd into zones? Fine, I will. Everyone should have an ochd, by the way. This is DivKid's collaboration with Instro, and it's a non-timed 8 LFO output module where each LFO is slower. So fastest version, and then all down here you have like incredibly, like almost tidally slow ones. You can change their overall rate like this, and then you can send it CV that, depending on how it interacts with it, will like ripple through these individual LFOs and create really cool modulation. Nice. Good tip. Okay, so we determined that if I turn LFO shape over here, it starts switching between different LFO shapes for all of these, right? There's a ramp up. There's a sine. And it's all color-coded, so like it seems complicated right now, but once you start sort of remembering which colors you like, it will be easier. So I'm going to switch wavetables. The thing about wavetables is they can get just a really like sort of like digital dirty. And I'm really not looking for that. I'm not looking for like psytrance sounds in here. I'm looking for, I don't know, like more mellow wave folding sine wave sounds. And those can be hard to find. So actually, I'm going to load that preset back up again. There we go. Okay, we're hearing some Mimiophone hanging out in there. So I can click each one of these and hold it and change its LFO speed and time. So, excuse me, speed and shape. So let's start with the second one here. I'm going to change this to yellow, which is a sine wave, and I'm going to turn down its speed. So now it has its own LFO. Can you hear it fading in and out? Guess what? I can take that LFO out and put it anywhere. Which is insane. So you get 8 LFO outs, which is just fucking wild. So if I was to change this shape again to, let's say, a ramp. So what I'm getting from this now is, it's, turn this one down a little bit. It's creating rhythms, but it's also making drones. And depending on where you set things, depending on where you set your pitches, your wavetable position, and your LFO shapes and stuff like that, you're just going to get really wild combinations of stuff. Everything from this super mellow to, I would imagine that like this would be insane in a box that was dedicated to more beat-oriented music. And I do plan on trying some of that a little bit. This live stream is a clear and present danger to your wallet. I understand completely, and I have no recommendations for you because honestly, I have spent way too much money on Modular, like way too much fucking money on it, and it's just really, really easy to be inspired by all this stuff. Let's grab this friend here. Just patch it to color. Why not? So if you're into like beating frequencies that sort of like over time evolve, like patterns that evolve, then this thing is really hard to stop playing with, honestly. Yeah, Fenny, when you dial things in, what you're looking for, like it really does become, well, I mean, everyone's looking for something different. I'm really looking for like hypnotic mellow tones from this thing in general. All right, so I've done a video on the Morphagene already. Let's go ahead and plug it in and just dial something in to add a texture to this, and then we'll play with the surface a little bit. So another stereo module, because everything must be stereo for some reason. So the Morphagene is basically a crazy like tape deck. Oh, I need a longer one there. Give me a long cable. Here we go. Okay. So the Morphagene is a sampler, but it has some really interesting tools to make it kind of granular, which is nice. So we'll plug it into here, pan it left and right, and see what's on it right now. That's kind of nice, right? Maybe not. Let's go into real mode and pick a different thing. Ooh, can we make that work? It was so promising at first. Hey, that works. Something interesting I found out about the Morphagene recently. So, this knob here, it's a very speed control, right? It's like rocking a tape deck speed up and down, and you can go into reverse. And I was like, oh man, it's so hard to get this in tune. But the colors here tell you when you are back at the intended playback speed, either in reverse or forward, of the sample, which I didn't realize. So right now, if I turn this, you'll start to see that the colors change. And when I get to green, it's now playing back normal. So, what can we do to make this a little less fast? Well, this might be a little too frenetic for this. Yeah, let's pick a different sound. We're just gonna pick that for now. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right. So what else are we got here? I said we'd talk about the Surface. I just got this from Takeout, who is in the chat. This is a physical modeling instrument plugin module, whatever the fuck it's called. It shares some DNA with plates. It shares some DNA with rings, basically physical modeling and resonation and stuff like that. And it's very beautiful. And again, it's stereo, so we're gonna have to make some careful decisions here. It's stereo if you want it to be, basically. Like, you can choose whether or not you want it to be stereo. But we're gonna fuck with it in stereo because that's how I do. If I had my druthers, I'd have 2 of these mixers because they're really, really useful. And I would be able to create little effect sends using like the outs and stuff like that, which would be really, really nice. But since I need proper line output, this is sort of the end zone, so I can't have everything running into Mimiophone, which is a goddamn shame, to be honest. So we are going to use this is not Rocket Science Tuesday to trigger this. And what the Tuesday is it's down here. This is a algorithmic melody generator, and hopefully it'll fit with what we're doing here. But basically, this is not rocket science. The people that made this, they programmed in different algorithms. I think there's 4, which doesn't seem like that much, but X and Y and this control here control sort of the nature of the algorithm and how it evolves over time. All right, so let's patch it and hear what it sounds like. Oh, Jason, thank you so much. That's incredibly useful. Both of you, yeah. Wait, no. You just need a Q pass? Yeah, I do. I do need a Q pass. Takeout, thank you. That's very useful. I was wondering as I was trying to tune that one sample whether or not I had missed that as well. And obviously I did. I think I read the manual enough and then I realized that I don't. Jason, I really do want a Q pass, but I obviously have no room for it here. And I'm not getting rid of any, I pretty much need everything I have in here. Pretty much. I'd have to get rid of Quadrax and go Quad VCA to fit like a Q pass. I just don't think that's like, I just don't think that's a smart idea. You're stoked to see the Tuesday? Okay, well, let me get some cables because I need long boys. 1 second. Busting out my special stash of long boys here. So, let's get note out, which is the 1 volt per octave output of this, and let's feed it up here to surface. Surface is going into channels 3 and 4. Great. So now we need to trigger it. So Tuesday comes with a 1 volt per octave out and a gate out. You're the one that recommended This Is Not Rocket Science. Thank you. They are awesome. They all of their modules seem really, really cool. They have a beautiful design, and their packaging, their packaging when they send stuff is really, really great. They seem like a really cool company. Okay, so let's go ahead and dial this in. The way that this works is it receives a clock, and you can set the clock to a few things. I have it set, I think, to 16th notes, but I'm kind of still figuring it out. I have this clock divider going in here. Obviously, our pitch is not super great on that, so it's going to be a little atonal for a smidge. Let's just sort of work through it. Let me get the clock dialed in. Change the algorithm. Let's go ahead and tune this. So it's sending out a melody, right? Like, hey, that sounds like it's in key. As to whether or not it's properly in rhythm, I have no idea. We'd have to send out a little gate signal to our drum machine. So let's do that real quick. Riker, no. We're going to use Steppy here and trigger one channel of the sample drum, which I have a bass drum on. Go ahead and put this into this. It's channel 4, pan right up the middle, and let's go ahead and add a gate. Hell yeah. I love just being super excited about ambient. It's just so dumb. But this is my new obsession right now, is this box. It's really, really nice to just hang out with it. So we can obviously turn this down a little bit. So you can hear it doing a pluck string thing right now. Let's go ahead and listen to what all is available on the pluck string. So that melody is coming from this. it's just being generated. And as I move these 3 knobs, I can affect the density and permutations of this. So what we're going to do here is take the wonderful and surprising ochd and start modulating. So now this thing is getting 2 sine waves from ochd, slow sine waves, that are modulating the X and Y permutations of this particular algorithm, which can be set to a number of scales, by the way. And this one is the density of the melody. So this is pretty much every 16th note, or every note, but to the left, it becomes less dense. And of course, you could modulate that too. You did hear a slide. This thing will send out slewed pitches in some cases, and you can adjust whether or not you want that on or off. But usually it's one of these 2 controls that will start introducing that slew. The other cool thing about this module is that, I don't know if you can see. How easy for you to see? Okay, well, there's a reset in. None of the modules I have here I'm sending reset, which is unfortunate because I'd like to be able to, but I haven't figured out a good solution for that. You can pass the clock directly out from it. Tick represents the spacing of the ticks here, and you can set these ticks to, right now I think we're in a divide by 4. That's divide by like 2, 1, or 3 or something. Basically, there are different subdivisions of the beat that you can use to send the algorithm out, and you also get a gate out here. I've never used Marbles. I'm sorry, I don't know. But I don't. Does Marbles actually create control 1 volt per octave? I thought Marbles was just a gate generator. Anyways, so then these things here are gate outs. Tick is the fastest subdivision. Beat, it's every repeating beat, and loop is the full loop of the thing. So you can actually use this to trigger like hi-hats, a kick drum, and then maybe some other event. You can make this basically a 1-bar phrase, like 4, 16, and 32. So you have control over the length of the melody coming out of here as well, which is really, really cool. I've just been... I mean, like, I didn't have to do shit. I just plugged it in. And it's now, doing this thing for me, which I think is just wonderful. Oh, that's cool about Marbles. I might have to look into that. I'm trying to figure out how to use Ornament and Crime to take, and this is just a tangent, like I'm not going to even try this right now, but basically I'm trying to figure out how to use Ornament and Crime, probably the shift register in it, to take the 1 volt per octave sequence from Tuesday or from Rene and generate new melodies for me, because then I could use like Tuesday to trigger this on its own, and then use the shift registered version of it with a different gate to trigger something like Braids. But Marble sounds pretty dope. I'll have to check that out. Okay, so the other really, really cool thing that Tuesday does here is that it provides an accent out. So each sequence has an accent that's programmed into it, and you can use this accent to go into something like the Quadrax, and then I can take the out of the envelope that we're going to create via Quadrax. See that we're going to create a little envelope, I think. Oh yeah, we're creating the envelope right there. I'm an idiot. Let's take this, put it into strike. right now the accent's hitting a lot, but basically depending on how you dial these in here, this accent will only, it's not hitting every single time the gate hits. I think if I turn these down, it would be less so. But you get a built-in sort of sequence-related gate signal that's agnostic of the main gate out or any of these beat divisions that you can then play with. There's also a velocity out. So let's try putting the velocity straight into strike, which is sort of our, for lack of a better word. Actually, I still want to keep that. Let's go ahead and grab velocity out and put it into our strike, which is sort of velocity. Adam, the shift register thing is basically a Turing machine too. Like, Turing machines are actually really popular in modular stuff. There's a lot of different iterations of Turing machines out there for modular gear. Okay, so what have we done? Well, we took the velocity out of the Tuesday here, and we're setting it to the strike parameter of the surface, which is sort of like how hard you're hitting the physical surface. So we're getting that as now as a modulation source. Remember, we had the accent going to Quadrax here to create an envelope. Let's take out and put this into tone. So now Tuesday is responsible for creating modulation for strike. It's creating a modulation gate source for Quadrax to create an envelope to modulate tone, and that's awesome. I love it, and it's super cool. And we're getting a sort of like constant evolution of the XY parameters here. Let's listen to some of the other models that are part of this. So if I turn this, I'll get some more models. Got sort of a marimba. Which actually sounds better if it's not being fucked with in this respect. Love this one. Really punchy for bass, which is really nice. We got a hi-hat, which I don't really give a fuck about. Got this crazy strum guitar thing though. So very cool model. I'm only beginning to really mess with it all that much. I just got it yesterday. Thanks, Takeout. Cool. Bye, Matt. Walk 4 dogs. Take care of yourself. So we're almost, well, I guess we kind of have shown everything off. Let's see, what else could we do? Let's grab this. All I've been doing is really playing a bass drum over here. It's got a stacky cable. And take the output of 1 as well and stick it in there. Alright, so that's in 4. Cool. One thing that I'm running into with this this clock thing is that sometimes things get a little out of sync, which is okay. Sometimes. O'clock on the surface is your favorite model? Let's go ahead and... That's pretty cool, actually. Looks like a pitched percussion hand drum. That's really nice. Hey, welcome, we are almost done, actually. We sort of walked through everything here, so catch the stream highlights, which is basically just the whole stream. After this is done uploading, or go back and check it somewhere around there, just before the bass drum. Is it that one? Sounds like a DX7 piano. That's nice. Let's go ahead and turn the slides off on the Tuesday. Also, Jesus, it's loud. We're just going to stick with our friend, the guitar. Let me see how to turn off our slides. Well, the algo LED is blinking. You can also change your output mode. The lit LED next to the scale button determines your output mode for each note length and note slides. Short off, short note. Slides off, short notes. Slides off, short notes. Slides off, mixed notes. That's what I want. I guess that's good. I have no idea what's going on. Wonderful. Do you prefer the Surface to rings? I think they're actually very different animals. I think rings, well, they're not very different animals. Obviously, rings is going to give you the plucked string thing, but rings has a input that you can, you can resonate other things with it, and this has other models, which are kind of nice. So, also Rings is much bigger if you buy the normal one. I really like Rings. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful sounding instrument. But I wanted this one specifically for this little case here. Yeah, the exciter input on the Rings is actually a pretty big deal. Okay, so I wanted to just show off this link a little bit. Let's go ahead and, this is a 2-channel sampler. I switch between channels by this awesome little switch here, and I can load up a bunch of samples in here. So I'm going to go into my sample pool, I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to go into my free sound stuff, because I have a whole bunch, and I'm going to find something interesting. Actually, no, let's try Andrew Huang's hydrophone sounds. Hopefully I got these right. Let's see. Unprocessed, crackle, left. Oh no, unsupported sample format. Okay, I didn't fix those. That's unfortunate. Okay, what do we got? Let's go into Freesound. Freesound is awesome. Freesound.org is an awesome website where you can get cool stuff that people have made. Syllables, ooh, la, beats. Yeah, let's get that. I'm just gonna load a bunch of shit on here. I've been having fun with this particular method of sample playback. You get a little bass drum going, and then you do something like this. So I need to send this a trig. So I'm going to use Pamela's new workout here to send a complex Euclidean sort of trig to this. So I'm going to set that up by going into channel 4, which I plugged it into, and I'm going to change the modifier to 16th notes, basically. So times 4 means now I'm getting 16th notes. So if I click into this thing, it's setting a gate, which is what I want, because we're going to trigger something here. I'm going to go into this R skip parameter, which is basically a probability thing. So I'm going to have this only hit 29% of the time. It's one of the really amazing things about PAM is the ability to do that. When I plug this in, hopefully we'll start hearing some. We do. We hear some samples. So I'm going to tune these up. And I'm actually going to add an effect. I'm going to add a bit crusher to this. Because I want it to be... Actually, you know what? Let's add the high pass to this. Back into our sample, turn it down. It's very subtle. I mean, you can hear that little So what we want to do now is we're going to go to the CV menu for this. We're going to take another output of PAM's, plug it into CV1, and you can see that we have a gate signal there because PAM's is sending out a gate. Let's go over to CV3, which is the output for this. Set it to a different time modifier, and we're going to set it to a sample and hold random out. And you can see that we have a sample and hold random out. I'm going to adjust the level of this a little bit. Great. So I want to assign this to something now. And that's this. Let's adjust the envelope. Cool. Oh, Jason, that's a dope idea. I guess I have this thing I could do that with. But yeah, a joystick would be pretty awesome. So let's go ahead and go back to this and change it to 4. Okay, so now what's happening, just as a recap, basically, we're having PAMs. We're having PAMs send triggers and a modulation sequence to this series of little breathy sounds, and we're getting a evolving glitch sort of percussion thing in the background, which is pretty fun. So that's a soundscape that, that's kind of what I've been doing with this friend here. You know, I play with the zones of this. Mimiophone has 4 zones, and they all represent a different sort of like subdivision or multiplication of the rate here. So over on the left, it's really, really fast, and over here, it's a much longer sort of loop. And you basically, the stuff that happens when you switch these around feeds into the different loop sections, and you can just get these really interesting. Let's go ahead and unplug this. Really interesting variations on both delay, like an echo, and looping. You can also ping pong it, and then one of my cool favorite things, you can reverse or flip the delay signal. And guess what? We can modulate that. Cool. modulate it a little faster. Oops, that needs to go here. I'm an idiot. Cool. The current zone feeds into the others. That's the one part I didn't quite get yet. Yes. This thing? Oh yeah, look at that. Neat. So I can see that Mimiophone is creating a trigger here. I think it's based on rate and zone. So I should see this trigger change as I change this zone. Yeah. That's actually really cool. I'll have to keep that in mind. This is one of the things I really love about make noise stuff or modules that have things like this does, where you know, there's these little outputs like the end of splice gate on the Mimiophone, or the end of rate gate out here. Just really interesting little extra things that you can push places, which is starts creating complementary events in your system, which is really, really interesting to me. Just out of curiosity, let's grab this. Some interesting variation from Morphagene. If we grab that out from here, let's put it into what's something that would appreciate a gate signal or a modulation signal. If we fed it into itself. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Yeah, that's a really good point, Jason. When you turn the thing here, the zone thing, counterclockwise. Whoops, that's repeats. I'm an idiot. You're accessing a different part of the delay buffer. This over here is it's called Halo. It's almost like a reverb. And what's really interesting is modulating these halo and color. And then when you reach into the past or future with zone, you get that reverb signal back again, which is just wild. So, I want to thank you all for joining me. I mean, I got to walk through everything here, which is very happy, and I like what we made. And now, when you see me with the system, you will probably at least have an understanding of what's going on. I don't really do, I'm not really doing anything groundbreaking when I play with this. It's really about vibe and, well, not destroying the vibe like I just did there. The color knob here is actually, you have to be careful with it, apparently. So I think we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to go grocery shopping, and let's see. Out of curiosity, is there a specific reason you're using the poly digit instead of the Zoya? Yes, because the Zoya is sort of hardwired into my fancy modular shelf area with the big system, and until I get a second Zoya, this is what's going on. Besides, I kind of like this. I like being able to just stare at it, I guess, and it's a little less obfuscated than the Zoya, even though I absolutely love the Zoya. Like this, you know, I can just honestly create things a little faster sometimes. But don't get me wrong, I love my Zoya. Like, it's just it's over there. All right, thank you all for coming. I will talk to you soon, and I'll put up a high-quality archive of this up as well. But I hope you all have a good Sunday, and thanks for coming. Bye. Bye. Go home. Go home now. I'm going to turn this down so you can go home. Oh no, I only turned down one thing. Shit. What if I do this? Oh no, it still sounds cool. God damn it. Go home, takeout. Yeah, take care, everyone. I'll talk to you soon. Boop. Oh, well, before you go, if you are a patron lesson person, please make sure that you're booked for September, because I need to see how that is going, and I need to be able to open up to non-patrons soon. So please do that. I'll check in with you soon. Goodbye. Stay safe. Wash your hands. We love you.